Welcome to VAL'S Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. Welcome to VAL'S Live Podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it. Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it. All right, guys. Good evening. What's up, VVL family? I'm in the building. Welcome to a VVL podcast special edition. Tonight, we'll be talking about a Clarendon pastor who raped a 15-year-old after praying for her during Sunday service. We'll be also exposing a taxi man from Papine where a 12-year-old, apparently her parent, was actually pretending to be the young girl, and the taxi man wanted to meet up with her. We have all of that. Also, some more news and items coming to you tonight right here on VAL'S Live. We're talking about the Grammy reactions. Robbed and raped, a Jamaican giving warning to Jamaicans who are actually walking alone in the wee hours of the morning. So much of this and more coming up right here on, of course, you don't know, VVL. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm your boy, Andrew Val, and I'm in the building. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is definitely VAL'S Live, the podcast edition. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Facebook, YouTube. Thank you so much. Hype TV, how you picture entertainment in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. I want to say a special welcome to all our viewers locked in right about now on Hype TV. Of course, you don't know, there'll be a relaunch of Queer dropping soon. So maybe I'll be rocking some Queer tops as usual. You know, them call me Mr. Queer, them call me Mr. Hype. But I'm Andrew Val for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we go live. So tonight, this is what we're talking about. Clarendon pastor raped a 15-year-old girl after, praying for her during Sunday service. But it's now time for social views. I'm your boy Andrew Val. That's what we're talking about tonight. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and of course, big respect and thank you. It is now time for social views. Let me run over to the comment section before I get into that call to action. Good night, Jeannie. I see you in the building. Wagwan. We're going to be talking about the Grammys just a little bit in terms of the reactions from Jamaicans. The Observer paper actually went out in the streets and they did a vox pop, and they got a few reactions. Some of them are mixed feelings. Some of them, saying, whatever they feel, and that's just how Jamaicans are feeling right now. But I said again, I say congratulations to Soulja, and I'm not being a hypocrite. I don't care who wins the Grammys in terms of the category. I'm just hoping that we will actually step up our game in terms of being a part of that award show. All right, cool. And I see a lot of people saying that, hey, we should have our own award show. Of course we do. But at the end of the day, if it's not branded European or it's branded American, we don't really give it much attention. So speaking of the Grammys, I want to actually start out with this clip first from The Observer. And of course, I have more items coming up. Taxi Man, in trouble right now. We're exposing him. We're also exposing a selector from out of New Jersey. Jeannie, I'm almost certain that you have heard about this incident, but later on, we're going to be discussing it a little further. But for now, let's hear from our Jamaicans and their reaction to Soulja winning the Grammy Awards.
How do you feel about US-based band Soulja winning the Reggae Grammy?
My perspective on it is that Spice per se, like, she's a really good artist. her versatility is far different. It's more wide range. It speaks to a variety of audience. So I think she should have won over the Soldier Group if that's what their name is. Well, basically, my perspective on that is that she should have won in terms of her versatility and how she approaches her songs and the wide variety of audience that it relates to on a general basis and on a daily basis as well.
It is a slap in our face, firstly, because reggae is our culture, and I feel like the government needs to do something more to enhance, broadcast, market our culture, so things like that won't happen because by right, aspire should I get it?
Alright. Personally, I feel as if though credit is not being given where it's supposed to be given. I feel as if though as a people like Jamaica, we aren't necessarily putting the effort in that needs to be put into the whole thing to actually get credit for our music. Cause reggae is definitely a Jamaican thing. It kind of reminds me of colonization where Christopher Columbus came in and take over and said this is his when it really isn't, and I don't like that at all. I saw a comment or a post rather that says that we as a people we're not taking the steps that we need to take to actually claim what is rightfully ours. You know,
Yeah, well, say, we don't know that group, the brother. Not even know one of them song, brother. I mean, I tell you, say, if there's a black group, they want to get the Grammy, but I try white. I try white group.
I'm thinking it's about the persons that voted for them. It's all about votes, right? So it's who voted for them, and the persons voted for the white group more. I feel bad that we didn't get it. Yes, I feel bad that a black person didn't even get it. But it's people's choices, right? Yeah.
Just, we feel disappointed still because my Jamaican don't really get it. You see it? Yeah, man.
All right. So that's it. That's it from our Jamaicans, and they're very vocal. And I can some of the views I don't share. Some of the views I really don't agree with. But hey, it's their opinion. Those are their views, and of course I can understand. As I said before, I don't care who wins a Grammy. You know what I mean? In the sense of it being a reggae category, because reggae is global. But of course, the greatest thing is that when they went to collect their award, they really did give credit to Jamaica and Jamaicans overall. But that's for another time. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it and politics. The bottom line is that we need more representation from the island to be a part of this organization. Because if that's the case, if we have more voters from Jamaica or more voters who support Jamaican music, rather, they will be seeing a lot more Jamaicans in terms of original Jamaicans. And when I say original Jamaicans, meaning homegrown Jamaicans winning the Grammy. And in that sense, as I said before, I don't really think that it will be a fair competition, because if I have much more representation, a lot more votes coming in, and my body of work is not as good as someone who, let's say, they don't have as much representation, then chances are I am going to win. Because I remember one time, a friend of mine, she was actually entering a cake decoration competition, and I asked a few friends of mine to actually vote for her. They didn't know her, and I sent out the link and I said, hey, I was canvassing for my friend, and I said, hey, assist us with getting these votes up. You know what one friend said to me, and I really appreciate it? He said, but after I go out and I saw, I browsed through the other competitors, her cake wasn't the best cake, so why should I vote for that if it's supposed to be the best cake? So I get it. Good night, Jeannie. You're in the building. Sonia says she's watching on Hype TV. She's Grenadian, so she has nothing to say. See, we need one of them Caribbean movements, because we need more Caribbean. We need more islanders getting involved in these types of award shows. And I'm not saying that we need the Grammys. I'm not saying that we need America to really tell us if we're good or we're not good. We know we're good. We know our music is very influential. We know that reggae has actually changed and actually inspire a lot of different races and nations across the globe. So I don't think that we should be happy. I don't think that we should be jumping for joy because of a white band winning the reggae. I don't think so, in my opinion, because we have always been on top. a reggae put Jamaica upon top. Words of the great Tony Rebel. With respect to David McLeod and the Jamaica Issues family, thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight, we're talking about this particular item. We're standing by to get into our main discussion, the Clarendon pastor who was actually sentenced to 20 years. Okay, so the backstory on this is that the Clarendon pastor raped a 15-year-old after praying for her and offers to give counseling to her. He got 20 years at hard labor. They appealed the sentencing, and the appeal court actually kind of changed his sentencing. Now, this pastor is eligible for parole and not so much of 20 years with hard labor. So we're going to be discussing that later on to come. Thank you guys so much. This is VAL'S Views Live, and it's our podcast edition. All right, so here's our next item that I want to get to right about now. This one is, a little bit tricky because we have seen where, it's a thing in Jamaica. I think I need to pause this. Hold on, guys. Let me just bring this back a little bit. I forgot that I have two clips. All right, cool. So let me focus on this one first. All right. So robbed and raped. Now, a Jamaican, a 35-year-old man is calling attention to the dangers of walking along Halfway Tree Road at certain hours of the day after he was pounced on by a gang, robbed and boogered in the wee hours of Monday morning, this past Monday morning, guys. The victim said he was heading down Ruthven Road towards Halfway Tree sometime after 1 a.m. when he was pounced on by a group of at least 8 people, including a female bearing machetes and knives. In America, would I say machete? So these 8 robbers, and I would say homosexuals, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because if you are males and you're going to see another male and assault him, robbed him, and then happens to rape this individual, sometimes I wonder if these stories are true. But I'm just putting it out there just in case you happen to be walking. Maybe you leave work. Maybe you didn't. There is public transportation stop running and you can't afford to call a taxi cab and you have to walk in Jamaica. This is not new. And in fact, what I want to say is that that female, that, supposed a female, I personally don't think that's a female. I honestly don't think that's a female, And I am not saying that heterosexual, whether male or female, they're not devious and they are not innocent or, of crimes. We're human beings. But it goes to show that sometimes when you think about even homosexuality, vengeance and them being vindictive, we've heard the cases. We've heard about the popular MP in Portland. We've heard of the former stylist, late Dexter Pottinger. And we've heard of several other stories. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on how is it that you're going to rob somebody and then after robbing them, you rape them. That just doesn't make any sense to me. In the sense of, how do we protect ourselves? Because heterosexual men, they do rape. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's only homosexuals, but we need to shine light on that to say that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter your sexual orientation, you're a human being. And as flesh, and as skin, and as bones, we are going to do some real unconscionable things. So this young man is coming out and warning. He's saying, be careful how you're walking in Jamaica. And this is not setting off a ripple effect or a domino effect of saying Jamaica is bad, because it doesn't matter where you go in this world. You just got to know where to walk, who to hang with, where to chill, and what to do and what not to do. But in the corporate area, though, at 1 a.m., in the corporate area. One of the man named, I'm just assuming that that one individual that they claim is a female isn't actually a female. That's probably one of those gully boys that dress like a female who would go out and deceive people. And I've been hearing this story for years. I've been hearing this story for years, where these homosexual robbers rape their victims as well. Not only rob them, not only take what they have, not only take their possession, but also booger the gentleman. Like seriously? Like seriously? It doesn't matter the sex, male or female rapist, need to be arrested. And sometimes you have to, and I'm going to get to this later on as well, sometimes you have to agree with jungle justice. Sometimes. And I'll explain further. Comment section, what y'all think. What's up, Auntie Marie? Bless up and thank you so much for tuning in. Jeannie Sweetness says that is so sad. Why assault? As though the robbery wasn't enough. That's true. That is true. Imagine heterosexual robbers now start robbing females and rape all of their victims. You know how crazy that is? And I don't want anyone to feel like, see, I'm going hard because they're homosexual, because I have nothing against homosexuality. I'll be just as vocal if it was a heterosexual gang who raped a female. And of course, I think him thinks, okay, I'm a man, so at least I stand a better chance than a female walking at 1 a.m. heading to halfway tree. Because I doubt if a female would do that at that time of the night. And it goes to show how risky our society is. And it also goes to show that no man not safe. Because if you can rob somebody and sexually assault them, what is really going on? And I can't blame the government for that. And I can't blame the young man for walking home from work or wherever he's coming from. I don't know. I don't know the full 100 of the story. It's based on what was reported. But something needs to be done. And we have a rape culture that it is a big thing in Jamaica. And when I say big thing, I mean like, it's not like, well, some Jamaicans are against it, and some Jamaicans are for it, and some Jamaicans are indirectly enabling it. And the story tonight that I'll be telling, there are 3 stories that I'll be covering tonight, right after our social views segment. And it is quite evident that we as Jamaicans, we're not ready to have that conversation. We have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to. How many times reports have been made to the police that you have the gully boys or the street boys, who some are homosexuals and some aren't? When do we set up cameras? CCTV cameras, come on. When do we increase police patrols? We can't fight crime, but we must have a crime plan, because you can't get rid of crime. You can't defeat all the criminals in Jamaica and across the world. We can't. But what we can do is to implement a system that will either deter or at least bring these criminals in and lock them up. And we must first change the books, because some of these sentences just don't make no sense. Some of these laws in the book, they don't make no sense. They're very outdated. And anal sex is illegal in Jamaica. Robbery is illegal in Jamaica. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Let's move on to our next item, guys. Very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. And I'm ashamed. Because a man can't walk by my yard in peace. Because if I know regular gunman are rob him, homosexuals are robbing him and raping him. Can you imagine? Suggestion sex to improve luck. There's a Jamaica is not a real place, but to be honest with you, I think the world is not a real place. The world is not a real place. The Caribbean, I think, is not a real place as well. Because there's a lot of foolishness, and some would say shenanigans happening across the Caribbean. But let's focus on Jamaica. Scammers say no to sex and bats. Scammers them not beard, and here why. Scammers have been abstaining from sex and refusing to take baths as part of rituals aimed at guaranteeing success in their attempts to trick unsuspecting persons in the United States of America that they have won sweepstakes. A group of so-called choppers told the Star that they rely heavily on good luck oils, incense, and scented candles while carrying out their illicit operations. Burn candles, incense, oils. Nah, beard, because I guess them take a bath from the Obia man. Because them don't want to wash off them so-called luck. And I don't call that blessings at all. Just so that they can scam. So how about asking the Obia man and burning the candles and rubbing up with the oils and the incense to get a good job or to have a better life? And half of them, when they succeed in this illicit operation, they don't seek better. They get greedy. They get complacent and they stay in it and keep robbing, stealing, scamming people. Genie says, suppose I tell my man no because we are blocking our millions. Well, guess what? If you hold off on that thing, I don't know, maybe you need to abstain for real. I'm chuckling, I'm laughing because I find it very hilarious. Just last week, we spoke about guard rings in school, Obia rings in school, because these students think that if they guard up themselves, using it as a tool of, of being protected, they will get more money. How about if you're big on education? How about getting the ring for education? How about getting the ring to take your family out of the ghetto? And the thing is, we always ask this question, why is it that the Obia man isn't filthy rich? Why isn't the spiritual healer or the spiritual reader man isn't filthy rich? And one spiritual reader, me see, we're saying rich and his RT boss on social media. And people are so gullible and vulnerable at times. Some of them are, and some are just ignorant. And for the ones who are vulnerable and ignorant, I kind of give them a vibe. But the gullible ones, which overall, I think they're gullible because they're, vulnerable and ignorant. But you have some that really sit there every day and let these so-called reader man and reader woman trick them into believing that they can make their lives better. Obia is a practice. Obia is something that is practiced over the years in Jamaica and from Africa and everywhere in the world. And for some people, it does work. And for some, it just don't work. Them say belief kill and belief cure. And on that note, I'll be welcoming my very, very, very special co-host for tonight, Shelling Shells. She's a little bit behind in terms of joining us, but you don't know, sometimes she have to titivate up and look like it, and she looks like the African goddess with her African bumps. Me now call them shiny bump. Me don't know why we need to give credit to Asia for that.
So they're Bantu nuts.
But I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure if you pronounce it properly. So I kind of,
yes,
a little bit.
Had the same debate on Styles on Tuesday, as to whether or not what the name is. Right. So, Chongi is a Chinese man. So, Chongi was trying to figure out why them call them Chinese bump and, so And I think they originated from Africa. So
Right.
they're Bantu nuts. Yeah, I got myself. Good night, everybody. The entire High TV and our social media. We're on YouTube and Facebook, right, Andrew?
Right.
Yeah, good night. My apologies, people, for being late. Explainable.
That's okay. We still love you and thank you for joining us. So we're in the middle of our social views item. We're talking about scammers shun sex to improve luck. But before you give your 2 cents, Shells, and your feedback, I want to highlight this comment from Johnson. It's Sassy Sash, where she says that these rings are just attracting evil spirits to these kids. And I mean, I don't know if it's attracting any form of spirit anyway, because if it's attracting evil spirit, then that means it can attract good spirit. Then I don't think, I don't think a item or a tool that you can use, I mean, people use the Bible to pray, so it kind of sounds contradicting and people get cross. And as you said last week, Shells, that sometimes we see where parents put like a piece of red string or thread on the kid's forehead and all of that, just to, protect them, and put a red ribbon on their wrist, something. So we do, as a race or a group of people, culturally, we do believe in protection, and we do believe in using items or tools to protect ourselves. But I will not say the guard ring don't work, but as I said before, it has become a thing. And here we are now, Shells, where these scammers, them not even a beard, and they're not even having sex. And I'm saying, why not ask for a better life? Because you're asking God then. If you're calling on God, then you're asking God to make you deceive people to get your blessings. And God don't work that way, brother. God don't work that way. What's your reaction, Shells?
But isn't these But all right. I remember the story I was told that this youth having money, I always say having money, but him can't seem to keep no woman. And he's always lavishing them with gifts because him having money. And one day I said to a brethren, say, boy, him don't know why woman them not stay with him. And the brethren refer him to one of them man they will know. So I'm gonna link the man, and the man make him know, say, boy, I can't help you, but here what you have to do for me. See that little vial here? Like him tell him, say, I have to drink it twice for the day, morning and night. When him go in bed, when he just wake up. But to the vial potent, him have to make sure say him brushing teeth all 2 times. And use Listerine and them something there because them will destroy him teeth or whatever. And the brethren say yes. One of the little vial or something charge him, cost him about 50 grand. So say every minute to go empty.
Well,
50,000. He had a breath problem.
After
but
that,
nobody told him. No. He had a breath problem. So there was nothing in the vial to help him, really.
Right.
But what the man did was to get him to start brushing his teeth more frequently and using mouthwash and taking care of mouth, because now him knows if him don't take care of mouth, him teeth they might rot out, had nothing to do with what was in the vial. So belief can kill and it can cure from that part. But I am not one to say whether or not one thing works or not, but we know because we've seen bad things happen, evil things happen. I've seen questionable things happen, right. And you wonder, so. But I don't think these cameras have any intention of using these guard rings or anything else for good. I don't think they want to attract any good spirit to them per se, because remember that whatever it is used to do things so that either people can identify them, the harm can come to them, and it's not a good thing that caused that. You understand? So they will hang on to anything that they are told, just like the youth that was given the vial.
Right.
And they believe that if they don't bathe and have any sex, then more than likely, that's when it will work, because that's the belief in them. But to show you, how many of them have died with that same guard ring on their fingers?
When them old, according to them, the spell season or period run out, so them never go top up, go replenish.
Oh, all right. So another twist to it. See?
Yeah, they never go replenish. So you know what I mean? That's what happened. Or them the Obia man for the last time and promise the Obia man, I shall return with your money.
Oh, and when them not do that. But Andrew, if you think about, like, for instance, a 40 and 50-year-old man who claims him a gangster and say to a youth, say, look for me, still alive. See me gathering ya.
Yeah, the influence.
Yes. So when you're a living proof that this thing work, and you're a bad man.
Right.
And you're 50 odd. So
Right.
it must be the ring that has been guarding you for so long, because you're still there to tell the tales and to show me. So it depends on who the persons are who will tell these youths and have them believe into what it is, because more than likely there's somebody they can relate to, that they see living in front of them, that they are convinced that it is this ring that helps them. But when a man decides him not go bed, for me, you start having mental issues. When you decide say you're not going bed, because we know them can smell themselves, and it don't matter if you're a male, if you don't meet your hygienic needs over a period of time, that's problem. Worse, we live in a tropical country. You know? I know men who don't have sex because of sports, that, you know, when it's season, football season or whatever season, then you're told, because that can drain you, you know, and they want you focusing on everything. But aside from that, we can't see through it. I wish we could get somebody to prove it, say it work.
Hey, believe kill and believe cure. So that person to say it work might not be any whatsoever. It might be just their belief. You know what I mean? But hey, I don't know.
Me and you might have to go believe it.
No, me and you, we might have to go try and do it and see if by experiencing it, then we'll know if it work or not. That's the only way I personally feel like.
But would I have to go believe it, or that me try say, because if it not work, you're gonna hear so because we don't believe.
This is how,
and that's gonna be an issue.
Well, that's true. That's true. I believe at first, and when I'm sure and when I know is when I see the result. That's how I
wonder if we can find somebody to tell us the ins and outs of it.
We need to work on that. Speaking of ins and out of it, this is
remind me.
Okay, I definitely will. I remember shaking someone's hand one day, and they had on a ring, and I felt the ring burn me. And I know a lot of people gonna be like, "Yo, that sound like some Guzum story or some Ducky story or something." Like, I literally shook the person's hand, and I felt a little burning. I don't want to say sensation because that sounds a little bit off, but I felt something burnt my finger or the area of which, you know, I made contact with that ring. So I actually walked around with that memory a lot of times, and it's somebody who I know, somebody who I've never shook their hands before. I never had no reason to shake their hands. It's actually in America here where we met up, and I was at someone's house, and they came over, and we were there talking. And we were leaving, you know, from the Bridging house and, you know, regular shake hand. But I'm wondering, this is not a formal brother to shake hands, but, you know, just being polite, I reached out and, you know, and I personally feel like maybe his ring is a tool to transfer energy. And, you know, I don't know. It might sound creepy, but.
So what happened? After you felt that sensation, was there anything, any feeling?
To be not a feeling, but I personally feel like, you know, people in life will always meet roadblocks and obstacles and so on and so forth. But, you know, personally, I don't think I want to disclose certain things on air.
Okay.
Maybe you and I will have a discussion, but I feel like, you know, things were going smooth, and then after a while, I mean, it happened after. I don't know if it's it or, you know, because sometimes it's really our attitude and our actions towards certain things that really cause us to be in a situation.
I've had real stories.
That's why I'm not right. So that's what I'm saying. I won't sit here and to say for certain, because I never go no Wobia man or no Wobia woman to find out what go on. Maybe I should have, because then I could have answered your question. But, you know, I just feel like, you know, energy is real. And people can suck your energy, and people can actually, you know, them say bad mouth worse than Obia. It's the same thing where energy, and they'll talk bad about you.
Have you ever heard somebody confess before?
About
tell all their deeds? About bad things, evil things that they have done in their lives?
No. And I think that's a good idea, because I've spoken to somebody who works as a flight attendant, and she has a plethora of stories, Shells. And I said to her, have you ever thought of doing a story time? And I was trying to, see if I could invite her on one of these days to actually tell stories. So I want to find people with unique stories, with stories that we don't really hear on a regular, in terms of nurses and doctors and teachers and flight attendants. Where have you seen an operation taking place in the Mile High Club, and what did you do as a flight attendant and all of that? So I like that concept that you brought up, the idea to say, let's see if we can source someone who can come on here and tell their story, whether they have been a victim or they have been
should I freeze off?
client.
They get the bulla?
She's asked for bulla. Holy bulla.
Holy bulla for true, my man.
But I mean, as I said, I feel like there is
sorry, Andrew.
There's things out there. There are things out there that definitely will.
I have witnessed.
You have witnessed it. All right. So one of them days we're gonna plan, around that, and we just make it about Obia in Jamaica in terms of telling stories. Johnson says that there are two different forces in the world, good and bad forces. I believe these.
Yep,
things.
I agree.
Definitely.
I have seen people have cases in court, and the vow said nothing going to come of it.
And nothing came of it?
And nothing came of it on more than one occasion.
Wow.
I swear.
I know who should have gotten a guard ring or gone to an Obia man. A Jamaican police woman, Shelley Ann Allen, on Thursday pleaded guilty in a federal district court in Fort Lauderdale to smuggling cocaine into the United States, some of which were found in her vagina and stomach. The 42-year-old faces up to 40 years in federal prison. Allen was suspended from the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF following her arrest in Florida in February because of lottery scamming and drug trafficking offenses. Allen admitted that on February 3, she arrived at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport on a flight from Montego Bay, Jamaica. An inspection by U.S. Customs and Border Protection CBP revealed that Allen had a package of cocaine inside her vagina and a package of cocaine inside each of her bra cups. Further, Allen also had 90 pellets of packaged cocaine inside her stomach. In total, Allen had over 1,000 grams of cocaine on or inside her body when she entered the United States, about 200 in her vagina, about 143 grams in her bra, and about 690 grams inside her stomach. Allen, who resides in Stonebrook Vista, Trelawney, is an 18-year veteran of the JCF. Media reports from the United States in February said she has also been charged with wire fraud and mail fraud. Local and federal agencies, including Homeland Security and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, which have been conducting investigations, believe Allen is the head of the lottery scamming organization. The authorities believe the organization has several bases operating in the U.S. and Jamaica. A review of numerous accounts that tied to the organization revealed a loss amount in excess of $1.6 million from 17 victims across the country. Allen will be sentenced on June 15 by United States District Judge Rodolfo Ruiz II. Shells, to be honest with you, I hope she get the 40 years. Because as a police officer, for 18 years you're in the force and you're telling me that you have to resort to scamming people? A law enforcement officer at that. Can you imagine how many people she actually arrests? Can you imagine that?
This is deep. I bet it runs deeper than, I bet there's going to be more to come. This is deep.
Of course she's going to school.
Because can you imagine? She is the law.
Mm-hmm.
You get what me I say?
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself like she has access to other countries. And like some people who can't travel. And sometimes when they take vacation, it's long vacation. So them can go abroad, go hustle and come back if that is the case.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and you decide that that is the route you're going to take. The same person, you see why systems have trust issues? Because the same persons that are supposed to protect and enforce the law, protect us and enforce the law, are the ones breaking the law. So she not only a scam, she is a
Drug
dealer and mule.
Because imagine you have 90 pellets in your stomach, your brassiere stuck with cocaine, and you inserted whatever it is in your vagina. You're not a small-time crook. You're not a small-time smuggler. He's a veteran. You know what's funny, Shells? They've been watching her for a very long time, and I think she hid under the umbrella of being in law enforcement, and that's the thing. She thought that she was untouchable. And look at her smile. Look at her smile. Looks happy, isn't it? As if she's good with her job. And then now you're going to have the Jamaica Police Federation chairman talking about it's the government's fault because these police officers are being underpaid. For 18 years, can you imagine what she's been doing? For let's say even 10 out of that 18 years or even 12 out of that 18 years, Shells. When a police officer do 18 years and a little small fry police, right? So
veteran. She's a veteran. No. Her salary is not is not a way to call no just that. You understand? That means she would have been what you call I go again. After you have gone through a couple years, I think it's in about 8 to 10 years, you would have been, I don't remember the name for it, but that means yes. So you would have been. She's solid, man. She eat a good food. She eat a good food. Yeah, she's solid. Cause every year, you know, your pay grade increase, you know, by your level. So every time you're promoted, every year, whether or not, well, in my job, every year we used to get something.
But I mean, it is.
And the more years you do in your job, you become a senior person, and because you're a senior person, you get senior pay.
Exactly, and plus benefits too.
With benefits, a lot increments.
When you rank up, let's say they cover your rent or whatever.
She never suffer. She never had a suffer.
Of course she wasn't. So this is just an excuse.
Greed.
Your man is using.
So she's double in what she's doing. Not only a scammer, but you're a drug mule. Trust me, greedy man.
I can't believe this. Like how? So that's why I say she deserved the 40 years because she's foolish. She's very foolish and greedy. Like you are pretty much in illicit operations as a law enforcement officer. That's the part that, I mean, it's not surprising. It's not mind-boggling, but I'm just saying this is a real thing we're talking about. And Shells, you said it.
Yeah.
This is why Jamaicans have a trust issue with police officers. And guess who I blame for that? I blame the head. I blame the head because if they were filtering and sifting through and getting rid of these criminals in the force, then we would have less of these greedy individuals out there.
And the mindset, remember, you know, the mindset that you said of being untouchable is very much a sore point. It's an infestation in the police force. Where because a man will cover for your man, or things get lost for your man, can't find a file and something they can't find, and you hear say nothing come out of it because case get thrown or something. You know, and a lot of times things don't even reach to the court before they are resolved. So this untouchable mindness, you know?
Yeah.
But they don't know that Uncle Sam patient. Patient bad.
Very, hey.
Yeah, man, patient bad. They never know or if you do nothing. When they want you, they will wait and they spend their money.
What they're doing, they're stacking all the evidence.
Evidence, yep.
Evidence.
Or come up something.
So when they go in front of that judge, they go and drop down that big old file, boom.
No loss.
No matter how much liar you could have dig up Johnny Cochran from out and Grave and Kardashian and them. Remember I told you, you could have get Queen's Counsel. You better worry about bail because there is no bail coming for you. But anyhow, this is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Shelling Shells in the building. Thank you guys so much for your, participation. Thank you for your comments. I have one item, and then we're gonna segue into our main discussion for tonight. But I can't miss Queen Shaq's comment. Good night, Queen Shaq. Thank you so much too. Sherry's Lulu. I will highlight your comment. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Queen Shaq says Jamaican learn a thing or two from Uncle Sam. Dash with the key. You get what she's saying, right? Jamaican youthful too.
Yeah.
Dash with the key. I think me think them go dash her away.
Yeah, man. She not see back road for now.
She's gonna be in federal, so if it runs 40 years, she might do 20 in terms of calendar time, because
But is that on the? That's only on the drugs? What about the scamming?
Well, you're absolutely right.
Money laundering and all sort of charges.
Based on what I've read, I think they might just put everything in one and just charge you for that.
Okay.
Based on what I've read, but you're absolutely right. There could be more time added to that based on the amount of charges that she'll be facing. Two Cherries Lulu says that greedy choke puppy. You're too greedy. I said it earlier, say they get so complacent, Shells, and some of them squander the money. It's like drug dealers who make a wad of money from doing the illicit operations at for the first year, and they squander this money and they say, yeah, man, just like when we get it that year, I'm sure I can get it for another 5 years. And they don't really save, they don't really invest. I wish they were doing it. And don't get me wrong, guys, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. But Shells, at least if them did a go around and I help some poor people build up their house and come out of the slum, mark you, they're gonna have to feed them later on. But at least
man, you could understand the reason behind,
be like a Robin Hood. You're not being a Robin Hood, you're being a Robin Greedy. Or a Robin Big.
Totally.
So, anyhow, this is a very disturbing story. The next item I'm going to play right now, because we're getting ready for a main discussion. And tonight, Shells, I read this article and I'm very disturbed. The Clarendon pastor who raped a 15-year-old after praying for her during Sunday service. When she said no, he poured oil in his hand, pushed her against a wall, and ignoring her screams, forced himself on her, saying, "No say nothing. May I take it easy." A clergyman, well, a former clergyman, because he's still behind bars. However, they appealed his sentencing. And can you believe it that the appeals court granted his defense team what they asked for? We'll be talking about that story later on. But before we get into that, here's another disturbing story about a Papine taxi man who apparently was texting a 12-year-old, but it was the mother of the 12-year-old who was pretending to be the 12-year-old. Let's take a look at this video. Very disturbing. Very
Get her. I remember she had 12 years old, yeah?
Family you play with 12 year old.
You want?
Get her for you hear that? Wrong set of people them you play with. Set of people them you play with. You're not the one you kill rape a man. What? What you play with? You think you know who you play with, boy? You not get that one you for 12-year-old you want. 12-year-old you want. 12-year-old. Wanna look on him. Look on him. 12-year-old him off. Hear there. She said she knew him a raper from long time.
She never raped nobody else.
She said what that you text for 12-year-old daughter for?
What you want, nude?
Text her for?
What you want, nude?
Boy, what you text her for?
Say you want nude?
Family. Wrong family. Wrong. Look on her good. Wrong family. Video. Wrong family.
All right. So let me pause this right here, guys, because I'm going to read this to you. It's very disturbing, Shells. A taxi man wanting to have sexual intercourse with a 12-year-old, and they have evidence in terms of text. It is alleged that this taxi man was texting the number of a 12-year-old, and the mother of the 12-year-old pretended to be the little girl. Now, the caption of the video says that, guys, this taxi man in Papine sexually assaulted my niece. He picked her up in his taxi to carry her to Papine Square. Her usually routine daily. Instead of carrying her to the square, he brought her to a nearby gas station and started to question her and telling her he has an interest in her and gave his number. She begged him to carry her back home, which he did. My sister texted the number pretending to be my niece. She told him to meet up, and we went in on him. Let me play this video so that we can see. Okay, so here we go. So what you have on screen right now, guys, is a conversation between the alleged taxi man who alleges to wanted to have intercourse with the 12-year-old and the mother of the 12-year-old. And I have a few questions to ask Shells, and also I have a comment that I want to highlight as well. So if you can see in the comment section, sorry, in the conversation where they're having a conversation. So Dad said he has to go on the road, so am I just going to pick up some money from my dad? Then you can take me back home. Okay, send the picture. He's now asking for her to send pictures, right? And she says, I feel shy. You can't let anyone see it. He said, no, I know. I'm not stupid. And they blocked out, I'm sure it wasn't deliberate, but they've blocked out the response to that. And he keeps saying, send it now. So he's actually, forcing the kid or whoever to send, pictures. And of course, we know that he's not asking for a graduation picture. Of course, we know that he's not asking for, pictures in clothing. So apparently they sent a picture to him, and she was in her mask, and the response, he responded by saying, send the X-rated one. He meant X-rated one, not in mass. Me leaving now. And she says, I'm going to look if grandma has more pic. Be right back. That part, they kind of confused me, but anyhow, he was clearly this man was asking, or this person was asking for nude pictures. In this other conversation clip, you can see where she says that she's going to take a shower, and he asked, can I shower you? This is very disturbing. And I'm going to say, if it is true that the conversation took place, and hear what's going on Shells, these are some of the things that we are talking about in terms of how Jamaicans, I was about to say something, but I'm just going to say it this way. Jamaicans, a lot of Jamaicans are the reason why we're still having kids being sexually assaulted, because of comment like this. This person says she sent the man a pic of her, right? If she know that, if her know that was that kind of person, why she send the man a pic of her if she never interested in him? Why? And the person responding and says, sir, please read. I've stated before, he gave my niece his number, and my sister proceeded to text him from her own phone, pretending to be my niece. My niece doesn't even have a phone. So easy yourself, and that we use and set up the man. But even if it wasn't the mother who was pretending to be the juvenile, what am I mean by that? So you're telling me a 12-year-old, it is okay for a 12-year-old to text a man and to send pictures because he requested pictures, and you're saying that's the 12-year-old's fault? Like, help me to make sense of that. Help me to make sense out of all of that, Shills.
Obviously, you would have done the same thing. And as you said, the reason why a lot of things continue to take place, victimizing victims. So the persons who are the victims feel victimized all over again because of, I can't use the word that come to mind. Like that. POC. POS. POS.
I am on TV.
That POS right there. Like,
there you go, Jeannie. He's condoning it. There's no way, shape, or form you can even think in your head. Use your God-given common sense to say, but it's a 12-year-old and he's a grown man. I'm not sure. Me don't know him yet, but he's a grown man. The next thing, though, Shells, we have to realize that during the video, when they're accusing him of texting the 12-year-old. He never once denied it. The only time you hear him open his mouth is when the woman said, a long time we know say I rape him. He never raped nobody. So why weren't you defending yourself then? So somehow, I'm going to be a Jamaican. And this is not the court of law. I'm not a lawyer. And we tend to play this thing, but without proof, there's nothing. And without evidence, there's no proof. Brother, them always say, silence is what? So if him being quiet, him being silent, and now run them and cuss them out, I bet him they do that, then it would have made me go, but you know, chances are Shells, they probably are trying, but he was quiet. A taxi man who me knows enough young girls and enough young boys taking taxi. And you're preying on a 12-year-old? It doesn't even matter the age, but a 12-year-old?
These predators have access to our children. And sometimes people say we blame government for everything. When we blame government and we blame us, the citizens, because a lot of times our children don't have good bus system, transportation, take them to and from school.
Right.
Given to the fact that a lot of parents cannot afford to privately take their children. Now, I have seen in other countries where something like this would have happened, where either the law would catch the person like online predators.
Mm-hmm.
They would, even if it's not the child that is texting the person, something would come of it. And I wish because then I could have maybe gone online and checked what's the update on the law when it comes on to things like this, because I saw one of the messages that said the police said they can't do nothing about it.
Thank you. I was just about to say that. They went to see Soca and they went to the police, and they both organizations said that they cannot do anything because it is just hearsay.
He didn't actually, yes, he didn't actually. Like, you know, what about the fact that he's interested in a 12-year-old? He has access to children of that age. How would question him, at least find out to see if this is something that he's done before, things like that. Like, where is our laws? Like, if anybody is listening, because you know we have people on here who's always, you know, up to date with something. If you guys know, just post it in the comments so that we can see what are the laws when it comes on to these things. You know, just as with domestic violence, like if you don't go and formally complain and proceed with the case, nothing comes of it. We want to change those things. Where once there's evidence, that person not be allowed to just walk around and terrorize other. Like, my mind can't get the fact that nothing comes of it.
You see that
and
comment?
Yes, I see it. And that is my question.
That's why I said earlier. I said this earlier, that jungle justice sometimes serves its purpose. Jungle justice sometimes serves its purpose.
Him lucky, him driveway. You know what was missing from that video? A male.
Yeah. I thought of that too. I saw that and I said, where's the father? Where's the uncle?
Grandfather, somebody.
Where? Yeah, it's just
to drive out of the car and make him confess and tell him where him up to, because it couldn't be because of all females. I can bet you that if a man or two men were there, it would have been a different situation altogether.
Can you imagine?
POSs like these need to come off the road. Jada Kingdom song. They're going to draw the Jada for them. Them not for that road. Me not ask Christ that this man have more than likely had it with other young females. That big old man look like him in his 50s. From the little glimpse that I got, when wanted one 12-year-old. 12-year-old, as a matter of fact, from she have on one uniform, don't look.
Yeah.
Unless a college she go. University uniform, but once she have on, you can identify that 12-year-old is a child. We no business with them and marry them in another country. That's not Jamaica. That's a child.
You know what's funny, Shells? You know, somebody always share the story, and I'm going to say somebody for now, because they always share the story that when they were young, they didn't have you know, I think they start, you call her the late bloomer. She's in, you know, the category of late bloomers. Puberty never really starts show physically on this individual. So therefore she never have no breast, she never have no hip, she never have no butt. She's like a stick figure. If she never comb her hair a particular way, or you see that she's a female, you probably think that she's a little boy. And this happened between age 10 to 12 to 13. She said that men, taxi men, bus men in the square would call to her every single day, putting sexual arguments to her. A little girl who never have no breasts. So we could say, okay, well, they're probably perverted because they see protruding breasts and you know, little hips, and these little kids have butts that they like, and they over sexualized everything physical on a woman. But this young lady had no breasts. That was showing. I don't think she was even wearing training bra at the time. Oh, you see how you chew on the straw, your body, you know, some more holy and how can you be doing that, bro? I know it's a mental illness still, you know. It can't be normal. It has to be a mental illness, Shells. And they have no conscience, because at least if you know, say you're sick certain way. Because remember when we had the psychologist, or rather the psychiatrist, on the show a few years ago, when he was saying that he's not condoning it, but he understands where men would see something that would give them an arousal and let them feel and get into that spirit. He says the fact that you are going to act on that when you know it's a little girl is where the problem is. Because when we see grown females naked, it's natural for us to react. But self-control is what will keep a lot of men from not raping. But when you can't control yourself, you know, so you're reaching our mental state. But when you look at a little girl, you know it's a little girl. Let's say you see a 16-year-old walk and she looks like an adult. And because she has breasts bigger than the average 16-year-old, and buttocks that is protruding and it looks bigger than the average 16-year-old Shells, and I'm a little girl, keep it moving. Some of them not keeping work. They prey on them too, Shells, when they know their age group too. Whether them use money, whether them use car.
A lot of them don't care what age they are.
No, I'm just saying for some of them say, yo, you're wrong, so me can manipulate you and me can wrap you around my finger.
A policeman, they tell me, I was walking with 2 16-year-olds and he was calling to them and I tell him they are 16. And him said, what wrong with that?
A policeman.
A policeman. He said, what wrong with that? And I just stop and look at him, you know, I say, hey, you see them two, yeah? Them two, yeah? Mark them. Because you go walk really, really, really far from them. Because I don't know if nobody tell us, me a mad man. You go walk far from them too, yeah? He said, nothing wrong with that. Because I guess he's saying that it's the age of consent. So as we go back to the very ones that are to protect them are the ones who prey on them. You understand? Children are impressionable, right? They have an immature mind.
It's not fully developed. It's what the psychologist said too. It's not fully developed.
No. And we can tell by their behavior, the decisions that they make, the way they, everything just shows that their minds are not yet developed. So not because I'm a 16 and the age that 16 don't mean say you must look at them. These are some worthless men. And because I don't know, I'm not going to put mental illness on some of them. They're just perverts who are too lazy. And maybe they are not able to get and maintain a relationship with adult, mature women. So they prey on these little girls who are impressionable and they can give them a phone and give them a free drive. And what they do is sometimes they know these girls' situations. They know there's no fathers in the home, and there are not many uncles, and they know that probably mommy can't afford it. So they start to take time and groom them sexually. Just because of their financial situation. It is sickening. I was having a conversation with a group of young ladies the other day. And also when I was doing the research for my book, Andrew, you'll be surprised that 8 out of 10 women have been molested sexually. And it's usually by somebody they know and they're close to. Yep. And I say 8 out of 10. I mean, that's what my survey tell me.
8. But
Not all were raped. 8 out of 10. It is extremely common in our population, and you find that these things are hidden and closeted by even the females in the household because they don't want to bring shame on the family name. And most of the times that's the reason, and not so much that they are in fear of any life or anything, nothing like that. Most of the times it's because they don't want to bring any shame on the family name. And some people tell you, why you about to talk for? As if so the victim feels ashamed to share the story. You know, and I think I was watching Yendi Phillips's interview with 3 young ladies last Sunday, and the topic was that maybe those persons who are listening can go and watch it, and that's where the conversation came with, and they're saying, why talk? No, everybody I go see your face and know say you get, and I'm like, that's the mentality why a lot of men feel so free to prey on our children, because nobody's speaking up, because nobody wants to be the face of rape and molestation, because the victims are too always victimized all over again, and that's a problem, you know.
That's crazy. You see what Asantiwa says. This seems to be more readily acceptable in some cultures. Unfortunately, Jamaica is one of those cultures. I hope this will change.
I hope so too.
You know when it gonna change? It's all right. We don't know it gonna change already.
Nice, sir.
Somebody's agreeing with you, Shells. I don't believe in this mental illness. They are planning it, how to, and what they are going to do until them get caught. No heart, them not have.
I think the mental illness comes when it's a child.
Hold on, you know? Johnson, do you mind, if you don't mind calling us? We'd like to hear this story, because it's a very interesting story, in Shells. She says that Val, me lick down one the other day about him want to touch my daughter. When me lick him down, people run, come and hold me and cuss me out and say, me shouldn't lick him. My head mad when it come on to my kids. Johnson, if you want to come, could just call in so that we can actually hear that story, if you don't mind. I think our viewers would love to hear the full story, because that's an interesting one. Just comment in the comment section and I'll send you our number so that you can actually call us to tell this story. This is disturbing though, Shell. This is a parent who had to defend her kid.
As a nurse, the experiences have been vast, and you'd be surprised how much of these cases just they go nowhere, because it was recently I learned that if a man impregnates underage girl, he doesn't go to prison.
Hold on, Shells. Johnson, I just put the comment in the comment section. I just put it there. It's on the VAL'S Views Live. It's 347-779-7377. If you're in Jamaica, you can call me on WhatsApp. If you're in the United States, you can call me straight. I definitely want to talk to you. So give me a call. There is a number on screen right there, 347-779-7377. So give me a call right now. Shells, what you say a while ago?
That's yeah, man. And I think I was trying to get some more information on it. Like, if a man rapes or molests or anything like that, they'll go to prison. But if the young girl becomes pregnant, then he's not, because they're saying that he should take care of the child. NC is not imprisoned. He's not imprisoned. So if anybody want to tell me if that's the case or explain it to me, then, but that's what I was told, that men not go to prison for impregnating underage girls. For the raping of them, yes. Molestation of them, yes. But once they get pregnant, then I guess he is ordered to care for the child.
That sounds like
because if they are prison, now are able to do that. So I don't know. Who follow up on the case to see if he meant it? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
like
what I was told.
Who is gonna see to it that?
I don't know. The way me upset, honestly, I'll know me not got 100 check. I was reading up. I was reading it, like I went on the Jamaican, what name again? Charter of Rights or something like that. I was reading, I'm just saying, me no know. My spirit did so cross, me never finish read the document, I won't lie. Because it's hard for digest if that is the case. I agree with you, Queen Shock. A lot of people in society who have clout, people we look up to and praise every day like gods are, and it's not only our young girls, they are responsible for boys too. Because a lot of times we're looking past the boys, you know, and they are getting it out here. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised if female molestation is 60 and the male is 40.
It is. I mean, in terms of at the ratio, not those direct numbers, but shows you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
strongly feel so. The boys are just quiet and don't have anybody to talk to, so them keep it to themselves.
People, share the life, please. Tonight we're talking about the praying pastor. We're getting to that story soon. Jamaican taxi driver exposed by the mother.
Hey, I was serious something that, you know, like him a taxi driver, you know.
It's very dangerous.
Right up there with anybody else who have access to children.
It's very dangerous. Did you hear about the Selector, the Jamaican Selector from New Jersey? I'm hearing bits and pieces of the argument, but apparently he raped a 9-year-old. He's now in police custody. However, the entire dancehall community on the East Coast, which is you know Philly, New Jersey, and New York, them are lick out. They're hitting out against this pedophile, and he's a known selector. I mean, I don't know him personally. I've never heard the name, but Unknown and others who play music
know him.
And I think it was his stepdaughter that he raped. So him bring him dirty mentality, sick culture, come a foreign. I mean, I say, they are foreign, but me, I say, you bring that from where you there. What kind of dirty evil spirit in you? Bugsy Bam Bam. There you go, Jeannie. Thank you for the name. See, Jeannie knew about it. It's a big thing.
But Andrew, the way all the world is now, meaning sex is everywhere. And it don't matter what you're into. There's someone out there is into it with you. How could you see a child and find a child attractive like?
But not only that, Shells, in this case of the Selector, I'm stepdaughter.
But that's a usual case. I'm not surprised.
Your daughter, brother, we live with.
I am not surprised. I am not surprised. Common assault in a Jamaica, yes, so.
Listen. I'm just thinking about my 10-year-old daughter and an uncle, or I see a lot of people calling for him to be punished, and when we say punished, we not about put in a jail.
More surveys need to be done. It's just that people are really afraid to talk about it sometimes, and that's why they don't really share the story. But
as you say, it comes back down to victim shaming.
Yes.
Victim blame.
Yes.
Family shame.
Yes.
Family pride. And the police are going to look for you and say, come out there, I just bad the liquor data bad. Police officers. Because if a police officer going to look for you Shells and say, so what, she's 16.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so what? All nonchalant, shower.
The worst thing about these pedophiles, is when they are charged for a sex crime, and they are deported to Jamaica, they come back and they sit like nothing happened. There's not a public registry in Jamaica for you to go and search for them. And according to the government, based on what I've heard, is that they have to keep their privacy.
But the victim name and face is placed out there.
That part them not get.
I don't know. That list that they have make no sense because they can't access it.
That part them not get. And I think Vegas a few months ago, for years now, as a matter of fact, not even a few months ago, he's been pushing for that.
He even tried to get the petition out and they're not honoring it.
And it goes and sits and
they're not honoring it. I sent one in and up to today they haven't replied to me to say whether or not it was approved in order for me to send it out for signatures. They don't care about them something here. They not care about them something here. Me I tell you, Andrew. None of the big man, them quote unquote, bigger heads, whatever people want to call them, politicians, none of them don't care about them issue here.
Ginny, there is.
No, there is, you know,
Just
but it's not public per se. Like you can, because there's one here in Portland, you can go and find out, but they don't, you know, like when you're abroad and if a person moves into your community, or you can go on it and search for somebody to find out. Right. That's not the case here. Over there, you can actually see faces to go with the names and everything. Not here.
Shaki and
not
I,
here.
Shaki and I, we've tried it one night. And it's not like we suspected anybody. We just say, let's try out a name of somebody that we just met. And they're coming around our kids. And we almost had a heart failure one night because the name did come up, Shells, and the picture of the person looked like the person. and when we deeper investigate, when we do our further investigations, we realize it wasn't the person.
It wasn't the person.
Yeah. And
but
we
at least
searching. Shells, we got Facebook, we got here, we got there, we got everywhere to get that. That's not happening in Jamaica.
No.
But did we still
access to nothing?
100%? No. I see our daughter go camping with a special extracurricular group that she's a part of. And Shaki went one time and she was supposed to go last night. And Shaki said no. So sometimes, you know what I mean? You have to be overprotective.
Yeah, and vigilant. Because it's those that are put in place to protect our children that actually do not. They dare not trust their own.
No. Not even with me.
Of course, two cherries. Of course. And we know, we see them.
We not play them game there.
We see them.
Of course, but Shell said the police, you know. Yep.
But I don't think it's not can't get it, you know. I think they don't want to update it because they want to protect these persons. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Jamaica infrastructure no backward, you know.
No.
Are reluctant, you know.
Because them friend name the it. That may come to the conclusion that some people who would be surprised are on that list. Because me can't say nothing else. How is it that a lot of times the name and picture of the victims are in the media? Because a story bus, and when you look, pictures are taken and posted because nobody wants to protect a victim. It don't matter what the person is a victim of. The media, we have media in Jamaica that I don't think is very protective of victims of anything. Because names and faces are often posted, but the offenders' names and faces are hidden away because they don't want nobody to know who they are. We need to know who they are so that we can protect our children.
Anyhow, I'm waiting to see what's going to become of this story because it went out on TikTok and I think it's, you know, it's gaining momentum and we need to get the word. And this is why we are exposing these pedophiles, this taxi driver who gave this 12-year-old his number, and people will be asking then, why did the little girl take the number? The little girl did the right thing. She went to her mother and told her mother. How much 12-year-old do that? It's a good thing she tell her mother. And then her mother pretend to be her. Tell them to link up. So imagine him thinks him going to link up with the 12-year-old little girl. And he meet the auntie and the mother.
Parents need to build that relationship with their children. Me only sorry them never bring one meal there too. So, you know? Because he could have been armed with a machete or anything. You never know. Understand? But yeah, it could have turned the opposite way. But I'm happy that the mother has built that relationship with her daughter that she felt comfortable enough telling her what took place. You know, these are the things we must speak out for as people of this nation. Bus system to take our children to and from school, and for the sex offenders registry to be made public so that we can see faces and names, you know, and addresses, and to be updated when these persons are sent to live in our communities.
Mhm. Even I don't want to prolong it, but even just the other day, a victim escaped from being abducted in Portland, Shells. I see it all over the news too.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm full out there. But anyhow, here's our main story for tonight, the praying pastor. I'm sure you guys have heard of this story before, right? So this pastor got 20 years at hard labor without parole for his sentencing for raping a 15-year-old young lady. At the time, the pastor was, or I think I know the pastor is 32 years old. The 15-year-old girl was lured to his church compound in Chapelton, Clarendon, on the pretext of offering her counseling in 2012. Now, the court, after hearing the matter in March this year, had refused the former clergyman's appeal against the rape conviction, but allowed the appeal against the sentence. The courts, in its ruling, then ordered that the sentence be set aside and be substituted instead by a sentence of 20 years imprisonment at hard labor, with the stipulation that the convict served a period of 13 years and 11 months imprisonment at hard labor before becoming eligible for parole. So let's break it down. So this nasty pastor, this so-called man of God, raped a 15-year-old. His legal team appealed it. The appeals court granted what they requested: to cut his sentence, to give him 13 years and 11 months, and to give him parole when the judge said it was 20 years. And here the next argument, no Shells. They're arguing that the judge used personal input to hand down a sentence, meaning that the judge gave him more than what the law books offered. And then tell me, say, you don't need jungle justice in this case? Because if these lawyers can use the law to get a nasty man like this pastor out of jail before the time and give him parole, and according to the article that I've read, this is not his first rodeo. He has 2 other convictions or cases that has his name, cases that have his name bearing his name as a predator. The list of pastors who prey on church sisters and brothers and children is very disturbing. And you tell me, say, your legal team, your lawyer, yes, it's your job, Regine, but sometimes some lawyer have some conscience, though. I feel like no lawyer never take up them case here. Give it to, what you call them, legal aids who work for the court, who you know say at the end of the day, them now defend you for you come out. And I get it. When you go to the court, you must have somebody to defend you because you can't talk to the judge. But a lawyer who might have kids go in front of a judge and say, hey, I'm appealing this because I think it's too harsh. So they might force himself on the 15-year-old. It wasn't harsh. And inserting his penis and forcing it upon the 15-year-old, that never harsh. Shell, so the backstory is, right, that the 15-year-old attended church. And the pastor, during preaching, he saw that she was crying. Invited her for altar call. When she went up there, he prayed for her. And even invited her mom to come and stand next to her during the service. After praying for her, and when church ended, he called her again to the altar and started interrogating her about whether she's a virgin or if she has a boyfriend, yada, 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 yada. What's her phone number, if she has an older sister, all of that. Then he said to them, I will be your counselor. Because apparently the 15-year-old was going through some stuff, some things, psychologically and emotionally. So under the pretense of, the guise of being a pastor and a counselor, he told the family that I will counsel this 15-year-old. One day him call her and say, or apparently he must have said to her, because counselors, you know, Shells, when you go see them, they ask you to to write. Counselors love when, their clients write. Or write out how you're feeling, write about your experience, tell me from 0 to now, day 0 to now, what you can remember, when you were born, what happened, all of that. So apparently, the young lady went to him with that information on her laptop. And he said to her, can you, or if you're not going to school tomorrow, come and see me. Because I guess she was supposed to meet him on a particular day, and he claimed that he was too busy. You know what I think, Shells? That day, when the young lady was supposed to go and meet with him, he had persons at the church, and he wanted to be alone. And so did. So was the case, where he was alone, and he called her. Oh, you're going to school today? No? Okay, come and see me. When the young lady went to see him, he read whatever she wrote on her laptop, and he commended her about her flawless writing. Then he reached over to her and gave her a hug. Then she pushed him off, and he invited her again and forced the young lady to sit on his lap and started kissing her. And she rejected him over and over, and he pushed himself on her, and he put oil in his hand and said, just let me pray for you. Push her against the wall or wherever and say, okay, I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to make it rough. And proceeded to rape the young lady. It's in the report. Y'all can read it. And after him done that, Shells, he repeated it. The young girl go home and tell her people them. She told her uncle or her aunt, but she told relatives. And they accosted the man in the square. And when them time up or hold him down or whatever, wait for the police come, the mother went to the pastor, and the mother said, Pastor, really? After you pray for his Sunday gone, and this you do to my daughter? You're supposed to be a counselor. You tell the young lady to sit in your lap, which is very much inappropriate. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be even by yourself seeing this young girl. Then you're going to try to kiss her. And when she rejects you, you put oil in your hand. Can you imagine what he was going to do with that oil? Because I bear things are in my mind right now. And you call yourself a pastor, and then your legal team wants to argue the case that 20 years with hard labor, without parole, is too harsh. Again, my frequent question, how do we make sense of this? Shells.
My nerves. Sometimes I would miss the story them in the media. I just have to leave them alone and then prepare myself to go face them, because there are a lot. The church. I saw the amount of story. Andrew, yeah, you talk about the lawyer them, but I can't blame them. I blame the laws. I blame the laws. Because if the laws were not ancient, because me have to call them ancient, there would be no grounds for them to have a case. Period. That's the problem. And to show you how good of a lawyer he has, the prosecution, I would say, maybe wasn't pressing hard enough, because it's not his first offense. And to show you that he has no remorse, he took it to the Privy Council. That's all. Highest, of course, him take it.
Mm-hmm.
So he must spend him money for come out soon, so that he can do it again. Because remember, there's no, he's gonna be registered, but we won't know where he is and how he will be monitored, because those things we are not privy to. And everybody lackadaisical and slack up. So nothing much as a citizen you have access to. And when you call, you hear say, oh, you have to talk to somebody else around one corner to get the information, and you'll be on the phone for an entire day just to get some updated information. I say it again, the people who we trust the most are the ones who fail us all the time. The pastors, the teachers, police officers, uncles, brothers, fathers. Same video that I mentioned, that I watch on Sunday. Go and watch it. Brothers. And then you have the women who do it to the males. Now, when them hold him, I'm going to ask a question, and please forgive me if you say it pan here, but why, when them hold him, I don't understand how police reach. That's my question. Why would I even ask him a question in the first place? As a country with the most churches per square mile, every day one next church put up, we don't have too much faith in a pastor.
Yep.
And then when pastor doing business, I can't forget the last case with the pastor, the child's mother asked her to drop the case along with pastor's wife.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
Can't forget the case there. Go to the young miss. Me say, I'm so proud of that young lady if it's stand up, because she said, no, not even if you're my mother, I will not. Our own mother tell her to drop the case because it's pastor.
The pastor married, you know, Shells, in this case, the Clarendon pastor, yeah, married, you know. And as I said, this is not his first rodeo, you know, because the man had a pending case with a minor. So this is why the prosecutors were arguing to say, Your Honor, why would you even give legal team the opportunity to amend the current sentencing? Why?
Me hoping got one of them prison there.
He's already in there though. He's already
one
locked.
One of them one day. Me not trying, but me hoping got that one day. One of them specific one day. But them not have no tolerance to them kind of man there.
And as you say, no, Shells, the lawyers, you know, which I do agree with that part. If you say you're not blame the lawyer, but that's rare. I will not go focus on battling between lawyers and that. But it goes to show that him probably have little money, because if you can get a good lawyer, because
then the pastor, what you mean?
Well,
pastor tell the whole congregation money. Remember, say you have to pay tithes and offering. You think Jesus will get it?
But and every pastor, because honestly, Shaki has two uncles that are pastors. One of them, a theme regular 9 to 5 kind of keep it going, and the next one, a theme regular 9 to 5 to plus, of course, clergy work. So you're right. I know every pastor.
Probably church poor and just honest. Probably an honest pastor na there, no, but
keep him honest, right? No. That's what I say. So in this case, you're right. And I never thought of it to say, you know, say you're good at the money, then when you rob up and thief and up all that.
Yeah, man.
And him least.
I say church people take their last money give pastor, you know. Because pastor say you forgive unto the Lord. And you must give generously.
But them say, give generously and honestly so that Jamaica can, anyhow, that's our one pledge. But when you have this lady, because I think I'm assuming that is this lady on TikTok.
Same lady. I think I know other pastor.
Remember, we play her one day, I think, on the entertainment club or on the show where she was hitting out again. People who are watching her show and saying that she shouldn't cuss her when she said the DRAWS. And she used the F word. And she said, yes, hear them say it. Because someone are going like say, when you know have no sexual intercourse, you know go on like say we want to shout out that. And somehow you go with pastor go hotel. And when they would know husband, you know, and when you know with pastor, you know, hey, and a ball out. I like her because she's very transparent. But as you say, Shells, we give praises to pastors and we trust politicians and we trust police. Well, some police, when it comes to police, for the past 20 years, maybe 15 to 20 years, I realized that the trust for police is kind of declining. And we know why. But when it comes to pastors, for the past 10 years, a lot of Jamaicans' eyes are opening up when it comes to pastors. You know who now? Them still trust and put them hope in the politicians.
Pastor and politician have the most clout, man. They're worshipped. They're up there next to God. Yeah, man. You hear two of them start with P.
The PP.
Two of them up there next to God, you know? In the eyes of a lot of humans. You know, they are the ones who give them hope. You know.
See there, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Like, girl.
I know a grandmother who allowed a pastor to move in her house, you know, and him impregnate her. I think the child was 15. I don't want to tell any lies. Yeah.
Move in her house, like the pastor
move
was
in our house. Yeah. Pastor come in the community, and because him a pastor, I need some of his stay because I know them come from. So she put him up. And him get her granddaughter pregnant, underage, police are look for him, all sort of stuff. Story was in the media too. Big story.
So why didn't the church council give him somewhere to rent? Because every
who say my pastor, Pastor Andrew Man just say my pastor. That man, he just say my pastor. That's all he did. Said he was a pastor. Drink and smoke and gamble and out the road, go party, everything same way.
Just like the pastor where them use the dildo and publicly humiliate him. You next one and I say, yo, what kind of pastor you be though?
The laws, man, the analog laws where we have, Andrew, them are the problem.
And I'm glad
you know?
I'm glad you brought that up. If the defense team thought that the 20 years at hard labor without parole goes against the laws of the land, it is unconstitutional, then at what kind of time then a rapist, a child molester, a predator, with not one case, but based on the article, 2 cases. So you see why the judge gave him 20 years, because the judge realized that you're a repeated offender. So the law, again, need for change. 20
I
years,
hope
without parole.
You know, me, I wonder, Andrew, if they can maybe prosecute for the other cases after. And so like how that this case is finished, that sentencing will stand, and then prosecute him for the others after.
Yeah, man.
And see if they can get additional years on it. Because him don't need to come out here, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Shells. You have a
and
leg on
people like them to put chip in. You see, when they want chip people, those are the people them for chip. We can't Queen Shark, you don't know. Me just say what is politically correct.
Right. Sometimes we're not politically correct, and sometimes we kind of hold it. Because sometimes when my chip in, man.
Sometimes we have to keep it, you know.
So I rather highlight comments like these because
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of viewers watching on Hype TV share the same sentiment. It's just that sometimes me and Shells can't be too open about it. We can be, you know, at a level,
yeah, but
we can't say certain things. But
yeah, certain things they have to. Yeah.
I'm gonna get it. Me agree. Man enough to see about the road. And how many, and we always say this, how much more victims out there we don't know. And I think what's disturbing, you know, Shells,
that's the question.
It's not like say I put faith in pastors, you know. But to be a pastor and I do that, to be a pastor is supposed to be.
Andrew, let us not act surprised.
Hold on. The reason I'm saying that, I'm not surprised. As I said, the reason I'm saying that, you know, Shells, is because this young lady obviously was going through struggles, because if you read the article, in the article, it says that she was supposed to document her personal challenges on her laptop and attempted to have the pastor read it that night at church.
That's what predators do. Most of them look for the persons who are having issues. If it's not financial, it's mental, but predators, narcissists, persons who have agendas, usually look, even a criminal, a thief, he's going to look for the perfect opportunity to rob somebody. That's what they do. The vulnerable always become the victims, unfortunately. And that is why, you know, history has shown us what pastors, clergymen, what church people does in the name of Jesus and God. Years it has been perpetuated. And people continue to trust these people. Continue to trust them. So, you know, sometimes you have to look at that part. We have to be responsible, and so we know, oh, not because one pastor me do it, me and my pastor do it, me still I got trust me God. You get what I'm saying? Nobody now say you mustn't trust God, but enough stop trust the pastor them.
That's what me say to my friends. Because me I say, imagine somebody that you grew up knowing that they're supposed to protect you. They're like the police, you know.
It's always those, Andrew. It's always those by research and history shows. And you can get the data from Statin or whoever, police. Probably if you go up on the police, them like you can. It's always the close ones.
Schools.
Because they have access.
Schools. Church.
Yes.
Those are hiding
homes
for pedos. Yeah. No, I'm saying hiding grounds where you're a pedophile, you're going there under the guise of being a pastor or a counselor or a teacher.
So you have access to children.
Did you hear about the guidance counselor, the male
guidance? Yes.
Who did the same thing?
Common assault. May I tell you, Andrew, common assault. It's common assault. And a lot of times these cases go nowhere. I've seen lots of it. I've heard of lots of it, and I've spoken to persons who are going through it. Many cases. And sometimes these cases are so drawn out in court that the parents or whoever is responsible for the children get frustrated. Because the children have to live with the fact that I see this man every day going about his business. Sometimes they have a chance to even threaten the victim again.
Which you're right. Them always threaten the victims, because an individual shares something with me where they say that when the person did what they did, they threatened to be like, okay, don't say nothing. If you say something, you're getting in trouble. And sometimes the victims, they didn't even threaten the victims, but the victims feel as if they did something wrong. And sometimes the parents beat them too. I said, what you did that do? For that man, they do that to you. And where were you? Ignorance. And see where Natalie says that we're too forgiving as a people as well. Just like the young lady who shared her story earlier, which I wish she had called in, where she said that a man called to her daughter and she took him on. And people are coming and say, boy, you shouldn't lick the man and ray. Oh, you mean you should have joined in? If you hear it. So I'm not going to say, me, them a beat a man, and because me feel like me for join in, she's me go run go beat him because me hear say. But if me stand up there and hear that, and I don't do nothing, I'm a part of the problem. There's a controversial story that surfaced a few years ago between a father and a deceased mother over a child. And that's about it that I'll say. Now they're in court combating who should get full custody of the child. And based on reports that I've heard, and it came over even in the news, that father is a teacher and has at least 2 or 3 cases against his name for molesting, impregnating, and possibly raping. And in any case, I take it, once he's underage, it's not consensual sex, so it is rape. So therefore, him have 3 cases, and then him they are court a fight to get the little girl, and they're afraid to give the child to the father. Now, in a case like that, if the story is true, run far. Keep on a pitney and run far.
He shouldn't even be in the running to get the child. Shouldn't even be in the running. Men like those, you castrate them so that they can have children of them own, because you can't trust them own children.
But
supposed to have a special place. You know, there's a place in America, a trailer park, where pedophiles live.
Hold on. According to reports, and I keep saying that because nobody never tell me, when I read, is a man we have links. So it come back down again.
And that's a Jamaica problem.
Come back down to title, clout, statue, links, money. Can I go on?
Status.
See
status.
Yeah, I think that's a part of the problem too. We tend to forgive them and then quote that scripture out of the Bible. He without sin cast the first stone. Me I fling as much stone as me want. Because I hear when people say sin is sin. No, sin is not. No, every sin on the same sin. The repercussion is not the same. Because if me do something, say me thief out Shelly $500 because I'm broke and I have to reach home. And me sneak $5 out of our purse. And me know say Shelly can reach home, but because me need it. Yeah, me still a thief. But at least me thief for a reason. Some people thief for a reason.
Valid reason.
You know what I mean? Of course, it's stealing. My sin not as great as a man. I go rob shells. Not shells. Let me not put that on my friend. I go rob one female, raped her, then cut her throat. And you're going to tell me, say, my sin match up to female sin? Then God no fear then. God no fear then, brother. The wages of sin is that God no fear then, brother. If that's the case. Because if that were the case, a whole heap of man out the way I go with them foolishness shells. I mean, I always say to Shaki, me say, then why them man are going so much foolishness and they still survive and live and eat and shell and think the Shaki I say, boy, babes, you don't know, you know. They might miserable mentally, and I know a lot of people who are miserable mentally, yes. I must see a lot, I must see a few more that go on and do them things. Because karma ready for come back, you know, man. I want thing with karma, you know, karma memory. It's like a computer memory, you know, 5,000 gigabyte of memory, you know. Don't miss one thing. So whether in this life or in the afterlife, if they don't get it, because if you believe in the afterlife, which I do, because if you have to come back up on earth, you probably come back and somebody in return abuse you, because that's their karma and that's your karma. That's how life go. So pastors, taxi men, police officers, politicians, because we hear say a whole heap of politicians, whether yard and abroad or pedophiles too. I know a young lady who tell me say politician carry them out go buy them ice cream and moves kind of make after that. I mean, the depend make up the name. I mean, not call the name. A young lady told me that. A young lady who was just 16. She was still going to high school at the time when she told me that. A politician in Jamaica. And we hear numerous stories, Shells, that counselors, meaning that political counselors, senators, MPs, businessmen. And sometimes people always say, well, no focus on the man them. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Because I hear a story yesterday over Clubhouse where a bridge tell me he's a femme mother friend. He was 17, she was 36 at the time. Saw him looking out the window, knowing that his mother gone to work. He didn't go to school that day. She asked if she could come in. They in her living room and watch TV. Then she drew up close to him, very close. Him saying start sweat because she was too close for comfort. She rubbed him head back and asked him a sort of question. Then proceeded to kiss him. Of course, a boy picked me, my 17. You think I'm going to tell her no? But that's still a 36-year-old woman taking advantage of a young man.
Those stories are plenty. But when it happens, the males are applauded. For broken ducks. You understand?
It's funny how you said that. Because the females asked him, there's one particular female in the group that was trying to not see it as a trophy, as a prize. And somebody said, don't ask him that because we know where to go. And I said it. I said it's unfair. Because if it were the other way around, whereas in a female and a male, older male, it would have come. But he was going, no. The man they might tease him and I said, 2 minutes to pop off, dog. You couldn't wait and ray. Because we see it as the norm. It's the rape culture same way. It's the pedophile same way.
Yes, and then forgot prison same way. You don't care what gender you be. And that's a problem. Like men see things differently, like in their mind. Where am I complaining for? They don't see that as rape.
Culture. You go police station. Come here. Shells, you working at me. Come here, Shells. Every day you come in here and say, what woman rape? Have you ever heard that yet?
And then there are men grooming men and females grooming females. Grown men grooming boys and grown females grooming the young girls.
And then people are going to tell you, say, comments like these. You have to be careful when you make comments like these. Not that we have to be careful on here, but people are in a general setting, or you're having a conversation. Somebody I go feel like say, leave it up to God, and them comments here. Oh, you mean? I agree. Because you know what, Shells? Sometimes, I always say it, they always say sometimes you have to fight fire with fire, and an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, and a finger for a finger, And people pick and choose what's in the Bible to run with. People pick and choose why not the Bible for run with, brother. When them is the victim, them choose the part of the Bible where say if you're right or nothing, if you chop you off. But when them, they're on the other side of the fence, they say just turn the other cheek. How? When these victims suffer for years upon top of years, you know how much relationships right now can't prosper because the woman, because the man still suffering from what he or she experienced as children? Do you know how much girls and boys walking around in this day and age being promiscuous because that's what they were exposed to as kids, and they themselves can't even understand it? And then we want to have sympathy for the predators, for the perpetrators. Help me to make sense of this. But
it is entrenched, Andrew, because you want to protect the family name. Yeah. And a lot of women are the protectors of these predators. And that's just the fact.
Read that.
Right?
Read that.
And they themselves turn into a predator, unfortunately. Lots of times.
Cycle.
It's a cycle, unbreakable cycle. And I will say it again. You see, us women are responsible. Not care about the apple when they say they eat. I don't know if that is what is coming down in the bloodline. But women, we helped to, we are responsible for a lot of ills that are happening to our children and generations advancing. We cover up a whole heap that we didn't have to cover up. A lot of the cover up didn't happen out of fear. You just didn't want, because of pride, and you don't want to feel shame, and people going to talk about your daughter did this and that or whatever.
Imagine.
Not out of fear.
You don't think about your daughter suffering? Anyway, you take it to your daughter will suffer,
Still going to suffer. So why not protect somebody else's child or many more children from this person? Because when you have a father in a family, an uncle, a brother, a cousin, that touches the young females in the family, and one person talk and the person get a murderation, because that's what you call it. When you beat a kid mercilessly and that child is beaten into silence, and that person continues to perpetuate whatever they're doing. And the mother knows sometimes the mother beat the pitney, say I want the pitney one man, and all of them something like, with mental health, or we stay mentally as women, we have to change it and stop perpetuate something. Well, help the perpetuator to perpetuate these crimes. The family name not so important. Trust me, when a daughter tell you say them stepfather and them father, uncle and brother, believe them, or your son. A lot of us are not protective enough of the boys, and them get hurt too. And that is why they become predators, because they were crime happened against them and they lived with it and couldn't tell anybody, because people are gonna laugh after them and say them this or whatever. Like, it deep, Andrew. Deep.
It is.
Deep. The roots are deep.
It is. See, Jeannie said it. Tonight's show was a heavy show. Sometimes we have them heavy shows, sometimes we have them light shows.
Because we have to change. Something have to change, Andrew.
We don't know what we're going on already. Jungle justice. I don't care.
Something have to change.
I don't support
examples have to be made out of some of them.
I don't support every single situation for jungle justice.
And sometimes there has to be evidence, Come here, go say this again. Sometimes women wicked, tell lie on the man and the man them not do no such thing.
That's what I say. If the case, that's what I said for the young lady who told her story, Shells, and I stood there and I heard everything that happened, and I don't think that I'm a part of the problem. But if me walk on the street now and hear them a beat a man, and me don't know how I may ask, and people say me don't know anything. Them just a beat him.
Right.
Me not believing in the jungle justice thing. Because at the end of the day, I like boy, it's like you're going to defend your brother because he's a rapist. Or your sister because, you know, she does something wrong. You're adding to the foolishness. You're adding to it. And you see a bridging down the road, and you will throw your bridging under the bus because it's your bridging. Both wrongs. Two of them wrong. And that's another issue to my friend. At one time, I mean, we have less than 3 minutes, Shells. One time, I made a post where a female had up a sign that says, in terms of 5 females, 3 out of 5 females know someone or know a rape victim. But 5 out of 5 males don't know a rapist. And that says a lot. That says a lot, because a lot of times as youths, as brethren Shells, when we have some story that we tell as brethren about what we did to young girls when we were growing up, and some of the stories when we hear from brethren really and truly enough away a rapist boy, you know. And it's true. We always know a rape victim, but we never know a rapist. Why?
Yep. Same so. Because too many times things like that are glorified. You know, and boys get
pat on the shoulder,
pat on the back, you know, to well done. Done.
Wash up that.
Yeah, man, no man. And competition. Yeah, them run competition as to who can do whatever. In this day and age, there are young men running competition. How much them can kill.
Yeah,
you know,
you're right.
What you call it. Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to do that, like a tally. We used to have a jar and we used to write down the names and put them in there. And all of them. But to be honest with you, in my time, it wasn't forced. It was more to see how many girls you can, when you come from school, how much you can get. And how much out of the lot there you can pretend or trick that you want them. I've never run a train. And I think we're running a train. Girl only give one, and when you look, all 4 or 5 are coming. And it's a culture that we have. But I got to wrap though. It's very disturbing, and that's why I teach my youth. I teach my son. I have a 16-year-old son, and I try to teach him. Say, yo, brother, consent here. And in the middle of it, she says, stop. Sometimes it's hard, but in the middle of it, when she says stop. Because sometimes a peer pressure makes she give it up. And sometimes she want to give it up, but she don't feel like she want to give it up just yet because she really like you. We have to have them conversation, Shells. We have to keep it raw with them too.
Yep.
Probably sit down and porn with them too.
Yep.
Straight up. We can't push it under the rug. We can't be in the closet like how our parents were. We have to be out there.
You have to educate them by both times. By, you know, sometimes you have to be graphic.
Being real, exactly. You know? Being real.
Because it's graphic out there.
Very. The real world is not going to cushion them and protect them.
No.
And say, fall and I'll catch you and I'll teach you how to break your fall. No. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Shells, big respect. It's always a pleasure reasoning with you as usual. Everybody in the comment section, thank you. I'd have to thank everybody.
Yeah, the participation we are so appreciative of the feedback, you know.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. So tonight we cover the Clarendon pastor who raped a 15-year-old after praying for her during Sunday service. A taxi man exposed by a 12-year-old mother. The mother pretended to be the 12-year-old by texting back and forth with the taxi man after they met up. The aunt and the mom accosted accosted the taxi man. And also a New Jersey selector is in police custody right now for raping his 9-year-old stepdaughter. Until next week, same time, same place. Thank you, Hype TV. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, YouTube. Remember, walk good. Peace. I'm out of here. Real news, real talk, real views. VVL, the podcast. Have a great evening.
Welcome to VAL'S Live podcast. Real news, real talk, real views. Join us weekly for social, political, and religious commentaries, analytically dissecting viral news and more. When they mix it, we'll fix it.
Unorthodox and unfiltered views. This is VAL'S Views Live, the podcast edition. Saturdays, 7 p.m. Watch it live in Jamaica on Hype TV and across the Caribbean. Stream it live on Facebook, YouTube. Don't miss it.